Now, usually men are known for, some men are known for like their pullout game, whether it's strong or weak. You typically don't associate that with a woman, but Cristina, your pullout game is actually very strong. We ran into each other at the gym and we just started talking about relationships like we usually do. And you have pulled out of 3 engagements. So I want to commend you for that. I want to, yeah. It's not easy to do. A lot of people will just go in feeling unsure. Why do you think you've pulled out of these 3?
Well, each one for very different reasons, but I do believe as you get older, your values change or get stronger, and you're less likely to compromise because you're more comfortable with who you are. So, what love and relationship looked like at 25 is very different than 39.
Yeah.
So it's just, if you're going to spend your life with one person, I think a lot of things really do need to line up, and you have to be very, very compatible.
Yeah. What's the first one? What age? How old are you then?
I was 22.
22. Okay, that's early.
Yes, very early.
That was I feel like I was smart either way, just from this age standpoint alone.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you think? All right, little sidecar real quick. What do you think, generally speaking, is the minimum age to start thinking about getting married? I feel like
Honestly,
it's at least 30.
Yeah, 30. Like if you get married before 30, so many things change. You're probably more than likely going to grow in different directions. It's very hard to maintain like togetherness because there's so much going on. There's so many things you can do in life. There's so many options.
Yeah. I feel like there's a big psychological change for people between 25 and 30.
Yes.
Like there's like 2 or 3 big shifts in I don't know, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. So why did you get out of the first one besides just being too young?
So just misaligned values. We were both young. He was a professional athlete. I didn't work at the time, and I just felt like I wanted to do something for me, and I would have had to given up a career for the most part. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I would have had to given up a lot of myself to live through somebody else. And it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Were there some expectations on his part that you were kind of did not agree with, or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's relationships in general. You go in with so many expectations, and as I've gotten older, I'm kind of trying to reel that in and not be like, where are we going? What are we doing? By when? And there's all of this structure, and it's like, I want a little bit of that, but flowing within. So at that age, it's like, we got to get married. We got to have kids. We got to get a house. And it was just like, boom, boom, boom. And honestly, he had a little bit of a drinking problem. We were young. When you're younger, we were partiers. Yeah. And I was like, this is not what I want my life to look like. And I wasn't sure he was ever going to grow out of it.
What was your thought process from like when did you realize this ain't it?
When he cheated on me.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go. All right.
I mean, honestly, it's a really funny story. I don't know if I should share it on here, but when I started to realize his drinking, he was making pretty terrible decisions. When he was sober, he was amazing. And he already knows this. He would own it. He's cool as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he just made bad decisions, and it's just hard to come back from that when you're like, the trust is broken.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
unless you have that agreement in a relationship, but we didn't at 23, 24, and we had already had a house together. So I had to go make steps backwards to get out of it. Yeah. It was hard.
Damn. Okay. So he cheated. That's a pretty clear cut, easy one. Also,
with a stripper.
With a stripper. How did that make you feel?
Not good, especially at that age. So yeah, that if it would have been something else, maybe it would have been differently, but it was legit stripper. Like he paid for it too.
Damn. How'd you catch him?
Honestly, his phone pocket dialed me, and it was like 1 a.m, and I was like, hello, and he wasn't saying anything. So I started to listen, and I heard him trying to get a blowjob from the stripper, and she was like, she wanted the money, right? And he's like, well, I can't go to the ATM machine. My fiance will see that I took cash out and ask me why. And I was like, and I had to sit there and listen to this, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, definitely not coming back from this one.
Damn, holy shit. Yeah, there's a lot of people, and I didn't realize this till I was older, they'll get cheated on in an engagement, whatever, and stay.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and it was harder because he was a professional athlete. The lifestyle was amazing. I mean, at that age, at 22, to travel literally the world and have, a lot of money. Like, I was just like this crazy reality. But I'm really thankful for the experience. But I did stay in it. I tried to fight through it for a couple more years, but I just lost respect in him.
Yeah,
because that was like the first time. There was more things that happened. Maybe not so much cheating, but just, I mean, that lifestyle in general is hard to be a wife of.
Yeah, I could see that. What was like your takeaway lesson from that whole experience?
For me, just, I'm really not into dating professional athletes.
That's
I mean, that was kind of my biggest takeaway.
all right. All right. What's
simple?
Yeah. What's your ideal archetype now of a man?
I'm very drawn to entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
People that have created something, people that are very passionate, people that are independent, people that can respect you for the same thing. I very rarely date the 9-to-5 guy. I'm not opposed to it, but I feel like there's a lack of understanding from my end that like it never ends for me. And I know when to shut it off, but for the most part, like I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I need someone that understands that, hey, like if we have dinner plans and something comes up, I have to put out a fire at work. Like I need to do that versus a 9-to-5 guy, clock at 9, off at 5, and they don't have anything else to worry about. So it's like there's a little bit of disconnect there.
Okay. All right.
So attracted to entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, yeah, that's a good archetype. Engagement number 2. How old are you then?
So I was 20. No, I was 30. All
right, so that's like a lot of good time in between. That's good. That's
30 years old. That was a quick one. I met him. He was my brother's wife's friend. They went to the same CrossFit. He reached out on Facebook. We started hanging out. And then he proposed pretty quickly.
What time? Time frame? Less than a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Less than a year. And then we were together and things were actually pretty great, but he had to move. And I was like, I want to open a yoga studio in Raleigh. I wanted to turn my house into a yoga studio. And I couldn't move. And I was like, I'm not compromising again. I already did that. I was like, I want to stay here. This is what I want to do with my life. And so we split.
Okay. All right. That one's pretty clean cut. I guess what was the takeaway lesson from that?
I think just like being strong enough to honor what I really want to do with this life. Because again, this guy was actually a really great guy. I think he would have been a great partner. But I didn't want to travel around and follow him around for his job. So to be able to have the courage to let someone go because it's just not the right thing for me.
So you were like proud of yourself.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. Because he was like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're not going to open a yoga studio. You're not going to turn your house into a yoga studio. And I was like,
why would he say that?
I mean, because it was kind of crazy. I did turn my house into a yoga studio.
All right.
Which is a little, I mean, it was a lot of work.
Yeah. Damn, that's so cool. Good for you. Being proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And then the third engagement, that was fairly recently.
That was very recent. Been single now for about 3.5 months.
Damn, yeah. So you're still.
Fresh
what's the healthy time frame? Like if somebody breaks up, what's a healthy time frame from a girl's perspective? For how long you should be out of a relationship before you start dating again?
I mean, I think I don't think there's a black and white answer there because it's based off like what you're going through when you're in the relationship because you get smarter as you date. And I knew towards the end there, like I was already starting to check out and heal, if that makes sense. Like I was starting to, like I was aware that this wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so I gave myself grace to grieve and kind of just like go through the process before it ever actually ended, if that makes sense.
That makes that. Yes, absolutely.
So like I now feel ready. Like, and again, I feel like men and women are different. Women allow themselves to hurt. We go through the grief. We stay home. We don't go out and fuck someone the next day. Whereas men, they quickly just try to move on. And then their emotions hit them further down the road. And that's when the girl, and then they come back and was like, well, no, we're done. We've already like gone through the emotional state of this.
Yeah.
But they mask it. drinking, girls, and then it hits them and they're like, oh shit, what'd I do?
Yeah. Damn. All right, cool. So what was the overarching theme on why you were like, nah, I got to get out of this?
So for this one, he was just much younger than me, 7 years younger than me, and just had a lack some experience in relationship. And then we actually started off as something casual, so it was really great when it was casual.
Casual's awesome. I feel like you can really be yourself. Like, there's no
no expectations,
yes,
right? And then everything changed once we did all the expectations. Let's get married. Let's have kids. Let's move in together. Let's buy a house. All of those things that happened so quickly. And then we moved in together. And I mean, he's a wonderful, wonderful human being. Again, just misaligned values. I think the age difference might have had something to do with that. And I'm just like, I hate to say this about myself, but I'm kind of extremely passionate, goal-oriented. I'm kind of obsessed with business, and those mindsets have to be there. I do believe in your partner. Like if one person is just kind of like, whatever, I'm just going through life with your traditional, like 9-to-5 sports, like they don't have a lot of like oomph. And then the other person is just like passionate and obsessive. Like there's going to be a disconnect there because you're not going to really understand it. Does that make sense?
I like that. Yeah. No, yeah.
So yeah, just once we moved in together, I felt like I would have had to compromise. And I think he felt the same way. It compromised a lot to really make the relationship work. Like I would have had to work less and, maybe had to do more things with family, more traditional type things. But at this age, I've already built so much, like I can't just not do what I do. Do you know what I mean by that? I can't just like turn my back to my business because I'm older. Now at 25, if I would have met him, we would have worked out. We would have gotten married, had kids. And that's what he wanted. But I don't have that ability to just look away from all the things I've already done.
Well, did you ever have like an insecurity throughout any of these, pulling out of the engagements? Did you have any insecurities about what people around you were thinking or saying or anything like that?
No, because honestly, I think in only one of them did I actually really like make it public. Like the first one, I did the Facebook thing, like engaged to, and then the rest, like I don't really agree with having to blast your relationship status all over the internet. So I don't think a lot of people knew, like my close people knew. I think marriage and that kind of stuff, it's for the partnership. It's not like, why am I doing all this just to show the world that I'm married? That to me is insecurity. Like if you need to be like, I'm getting married, I'm having kids, I'm doing this, like that's insecurity. In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely could. It definitely is a flex, which I guess flexing does stem from insecurity. So I like that. I also think on the other side, it could be, I feel like social media people post the things they're most proud of. So like it's their business. Yeah. So it's like your yoga studio. I post my comedy. A lot of people don't have that kind of stuff, so they have their kids,
right.
and they're like,
kids. Hey. I'm good with. I think it's just like when you're constantly like, I'm getting married. I found my person.
It's weird, yeah.
I found love. Yeah. Oh my God, this person is everything, and it's like that's wonderful, and we've all felt that way. And maybe I'm good hearing it once or twice, but when it's like nonstop, it's just like I don't know. I didn't do that, and my point is, I didn't do that. So not a lot of people.
It's like, did they get married for Instagram? Is that like they got married for the gram? They wanted those pictures?
Because once the honeymoon phase wears off, we all know, like, now what's happening in this relationship? All that hype is gone.
Oh yeah, because especially on the typical American time frame, you meet someone between year 2 and 4 is when you got to start making moves to propose. So if you propose. And in like 2-3 years, you can hide red flags. You could ignore red flags on the other side. Now you're engaged. Now you have 18 months to 2 years to plan for a wedding, which is a huge distraction.
Huge.
Then you get married. Then a year goes by and you're like, all right, guess it's time to have a kid. And then that's like another long-term distraction. So by the time, I don't know, I feel like by the time you realize like, who are we? I don't know. I could see why, I don't know, marriages, I guess, fail at 50%.
Yeah, and that's why I think you should wait till you get older, because then you know who you are more. So who you are. Not to say that we're always changing and growing, hopefully, but you're more aware and you probably know what you want. You're a little more clear on what you want versus kind of being conditioned to think that's what you want. So if you get that grace period, those 10 years to kind of figure it out and
Yeah.
not let the pressure of societal norms kind of like just, they're hard. It's hard not to fall into that.
Yeah, I struggle with people saying they're looking for marriage. Because I think you should be looking for a happy and healthy relationship.
Right.
And if a marriage comes out of that, great. But like when you're looking for marriage, you could
red flag.
Yeah, 100%. You could be putting on the blinders just to get to the photos on Instagram of the day. But I feel like looking for a happy and healthy relationship, I feel like is the way to go.
Well, there's also a stigma, like, I'm about to be 40 and like never been married, but been engaged 3 times. There's this little insecurity. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to enter my 40s, never being married. But I'm not going to just get married just to get married and care what other people think. But I do think that security comes with age. Like you're not going to care as much what other people think.
Would you say you're generally you're a secure person?
Yeah, for them over time have gotten there. Yes,
I can agree with that 100%. So I'm actually glad that you said that you still have a little bit, like sometimes it pops up, that insecurity about your situation. I've gone through the same thing with not wanting to get married. Where now I'm super comfortable with it, but at one point I'm like, am I being Peter Pan boy right now? Am I just afraid of commitment? What am I doing? But there is just something I feel like in most cases, marriage is the kiss of death. Not saying that you shouldn't get married, but
well, there's a reason why. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever read the book Mating in Captivity, it's a really, really great book. It's very long, but I'm going to try to kind of summarize this short and sweet. But when you have complete security in a relationship, like 100%, there will be a loss of desire.
Ooh, what do they define by security?
Just all of it. Like you're constantly connected. You know everything about that person. There's no more mystery. There's no more unknowns. You're just like talk nonstop. Like complete security. Like all of the things. You live together. You know every single thing about this person.
That is weird about you ladies. If you feel like the mystery is gone, I feel like interest does drop.
It does.
Like one cycle I don't want to fall into is where I'm repeating the same stories and Rachel's like, I've heard that. Like that's happened. She's like, you told me this. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, I got to pay more attention.
Yeah.
And I got to live a life.
Yeah. and that's the thing. That's what the book goes into. It's like, so there's people that are okay with just having security. They don't need passion. They don't need desire. Like, and they're fine with that. But then there are people that are like, I want passion and desire my entire life. So ideally both would be nice. It's not to say being in a secure relationship doesn't mean not treating them well. You're still treating them well, but there's elements of it that I think you need to really pay attention to and not just like completely bearing your soul at all times and not leaving any mystery there.
Agreed. I feel like mystery is less important to men. What do you think? I just thought of that. I don't know if that's true or anything, but
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think men are intrigued by women that maybe they don't know everything. Men, I think, are more visual.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Definitely.
But women need, I think, the intellectual part, the stimulation there, we're just more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this weird, I feel like combative things with you guys sometimes, because I've noticed that throughout my life where I'm like, I could tell sometimes the moment a girl's attracted to me, it's like, oh, she feels like she's met her match. Like there's some good banter or whatever, but it's funny how you guys like to kind of be fucked with a little bit. I don't know if there's a better phrase for that. But like challenge might be.
Yeah, like we don't want to push over. So I think a lot of women think they want Mr. Nice Guy and the security piece. But then they get that. That's why they cheat. That's why they get divorced.
Yeah.
Because again, we feel we need that, but ultimately, like the successful relationship, in my opinion, is going to be the man that actually challenges us in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not toxic, but it is like stand firm in something. Like don't let us just throw you around and you know what I mean? Like do this, do that. Like, no, that's not healthy to me. And that's not sustainable.
No, not at all. What's your take on modern dating? Like, so you're out there, are you looking right now, or are you like?
I definitely want love. I definitely think having a person is important. Like I'm open to all of that. But it's not what I lead my life with. So if I fall into it, awesome. If I don't, like I've had to get really comfortable, and I do think it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Also the priority of it. But to go through life and not have love and have like a person to share it with, like that's not great either. But I also think, I mean, at least for me, I have so much love in other areas of my life, whether it's my community, my family, my friends, that maybe I don't have romantic love at this time,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still so much love there. And again, I think we have to hold romantic love on this high spectrum, but it's like there's so many different types of love.
Do you think romantic love is real, or is it like something that we've created? And that's maybe the reason why some of us feel sad at the end of it all. Because,
You know, it's funny. I've been thinking about that lately. I could see both sides. I mean, if you think about a relationship, traditionally, it was a business agreement. It was a contract. It was arranged.
yeah.
So this whole concept of romantic love is relatively new. And I think we're all still trying to figure it out. But there are a lot of times where, unfortunately, I'm like, I don't know if it's real. I mean, I know it is, but I don't know how long that lustful romantic aspect can last if you're living in the traditional norm, right? Like the secure. If you're living in the secure, do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, they say chemically it's about 2 years before that like falls off. Now, I'm 10 years with my girl. Including the breakup, the time we broke up. I include that. And I still like flirt with her. I still smack maybe that's not the thing.
But those are the things that are important. Like the flirting, having conversations that you've never had before. Like, I mean, you are growing and doing things with your life, as is she, and it's nice to come back and like reintroduce and have new things to talk about and things to grow through together.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I think if you don't do that, then you're just kind of going to drift apart or get bored. I mean, I'm not a relationship expert, but I do think it's work to keep the passion and the desire there.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, what is your take on modern dating? My bad, I asked 2 questions last time. And
so romantic love was the first one. Modern dating. Oh gosh. I don't
like, what's been your experience? Have you been, because a lot of people are like, it's a fucking knife fight out there. I can't even don't be single ever.
Well, so I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. So as you get older and more comfortable with yourself, you will start to attract more like-minded people. Like if you feel it on like a very deep soul level. So the chances of me going out there and going on like a really, really bad date is probably not going to get that far because you're more aware, you're smarter. You can look at a person's Instagram. You can have one conversation and realize like, you know what I mean? Like it's quick. It's quick.
Yeah.
So I haven't had like a really bad dating. My modern day dating, it's been actually pretty good.
Nice.
But again, to take it to a whole nother level of marriage, that has not happened yet. But I'm still at a place where I'm like, do I want kids? You know, I'm about to be 40. But I also very much love my life. So it takes, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, but I think dating is fun. I think.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like you're in a really good spirits. I feel like you're in a really good place. I'm excited to see.
I mean, you learn a lot after 3 engagements.
Yeah, right.
You get smarter each time.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
that's true.
I become a better person and I become a better partner. And then you know your non-negotiables. So it's not like if I see a guy on Bumble and his pictures are like at the beach or he's got, I don't know, whatever it is. And I don't feel we have anything in common. Like, I'm just not going to swipe, you know?
Yeah. What are your non-negotiables other than the beach?
That's not, I'm okay with the beach, but, non-negotiables, people that don't value a healthy lifestyle. I mean, that is like up there. A lot of people think they're healthy, but it's not a lifestyle. It's like, oh, I'm going to eat clean Monday through Thursday. And then Thursday through Sunday, I'm going to get wasted and eat like shit. Like that's not a lifestyle, right? Like that means you're not really getting it on a very deep level.
Yeah.
So you need to move your body, you need to eat healthy, and you need to be committed to growth on some level, like personal, professionally, and then passion. Like passionless people, I can't. Like I thought I could, but like
it's frustrating. You're like something good just happened. Fucking give me an inflection. Give me something. What the fuck? Like,
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, like if you're just constantly like even keel, I'm like I would take a little bit of crazy over boring at this point in my life.
oh my gosh, I've done the same math in my head because you can't have it all.
Yeah, no,
so you have to sacrifice somewhere. Like I'll take I'll take a little more irrational for like God damn.
And like I said, have someone that is not a pushover. Like if you don't agree with something I'm saying, like let's talk about it. Not in like a hostile way, but like be okay with these conversations. A lot of people shut down. That's a non-negotiable for me. If you are a shutter downer, like no, like that's not how it works. You're gonna. How long does it take you to process? Like, doesn't need to be 3 weeks before you have a conversation about something really not even that big of a deal.
Our society has bred that like to avoid conflict, and any kind of a disagreement is considered conflict, and all conflict is bad. It's like, no, there's like when Rachel and I leveled up in relationships was when we can have like I call them productive arguments. Like afterwards, like you feel like it got settled. We moved on to something. There's some kind of resolution.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid, especially for men just want to keep the peace. They're like, I'm not going to say anything. Like the only time I won't say anything is if it's like the first time and I'm like, maybe it's just one time she's doing this annoying ass shit.
Yeah.
Let me let it rock. Yeah. I like to develop a pattern before I'm like, hey, listen, we got to talk about this.
I call that read the room. Like let it happen the first time. And then like if it keeps happening, then you have a conversation about it. And not everything needs a conversation, but also the even harder part is once you come up with a solution, you got to put it into action. Both parties. And that's where people start to slip because they don't want to do the work. Like they really don't. It's hard. Rewiring old patterns, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. I mean, it's work. And most people...
Yeah, because inevitably you will fail a lot at the beginning trying to do that. So now it's like, are you cool with failure? Did you grow up in a household where you are allowed to make mistakes? There's so much shit tied into it.
Yeah.
The one of the mottos of this podcast is 90% of life is reading the room.
Yes.
It's like
I teach it all the time in my teacher trainings, like in yoga. Like, I mean, it's not that black or white. You definitely have to read the room. Same with dating. I mean, one first date with one person is going to be totally different than the other person. Like I'm going to read the person in front of me before I just start like doing whatever I want when I want. Like it's.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned you became a better partner. In which way, like what toxic traits did you unload to get to there?
I can be a bit reactive.
Okay.
And a little bit impulsive. So I've learned that if something bothers me, instead of just, letting it unleash, I'll take a deep breath, maybe sit with it for 20 minutes and then reevaluate how I feel. But my biggest one is if like I have a pet peeve around just stupidity or being unaware and not paying attention, not reading the room, because I do a lot of that. And so if I'm with someone and they're not on that level, I just get very frustrated. And I'm like, oh my God, I've told you like 10 times. Like, how do you not know? And sometimes I can be, I guess, a bitch. That's how guys would say it. But we're not being bitches. We're just like, this is important to us and we want you to understand. So my toxic trait would just be, instead of saying it nicely, it comes out a little bitchy.
Oh, like abrupt and yeah. That's a hump to get through too.
Yeah, like let's go, like hurry up, or what are you doing, like, or why'd you do that?
That's one of the issues I feel like with having tough conversations, because the first time you start having them, they come out, even if you don't intend to, they come out like, a little bit. And you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like your body's getting tight, your breathing's all shallow. But I feel like the hump's a small one to get over. You just have a few of those and you see people's reaction. I feel like especially today, people are so full of shit that a little bit of honesty goes a very long way.
Yeah. And also like try not to take it personally, to have these conversations, the compliment sandwich. So I'm trying to get better at like, so I really like, if I'm dating someone, like, whatever, this is really great. I really like that you do this. But there's this one part that I don't like. And then going back to the niceness. But I also am like, that's just so, like, why can't we just talk like normal people? Like, why do I have to do that?
If we were dating and you did that, I'd be like, you don't got to compliment sandwich me. You can just tell me. Like
you're amazing, Freddie, but.
Yeah. But also you're amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be my biggest toxic trait, is just being a little snappy.
Nice.
But I'm also one person that's trying to manage a lot. whether it's 2 dogs, 2 businesses, family, friends, life. And sometimes it would be nice to have a person that could keep up or help a little and me not have to ask.
Would adding more cookies to your diet make you less of a bitch? Like if you drop down on the healthiness.
But I'm not even, when I say healthy, it's not like I'm not opposed to cookies. It's not even that. It's just like the level of like, what is food? You know what I mean? Like most of us, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff we're eating isn't even food. It's like harming your body. You're making your body work in overtime. Yeah. Like, do you even eat salads? Do you eat greens? Do you eat fruits? But they're like, no, I'm keto. I'm just eating meat 'cause I'm trying to be swole. Like there's health in general there's so many different viewpoints on it too.
Yeah. I like the, like you said, it needs to be a lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, I think sugar and alcohol, those things, like they're not the healthiest choices, but
so much fun though.
I know. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Do the pros outweigh the bads? I don't know.
No, yeah. I take long breaks from alcohol frequently. And this last time I was like, all right, I'm going to drink this summer. So I drank for 2 months. I felt like I aged 5 years. I was like, I don't know if I can do that anymore. Like I hurt my back too. And I feel like it wasn't the alcohol, but I feel like it was in a weird way.
That's funny because I'm going through the opposite thing right now. I didn't drink for like 3 or 4 years. And lately I've been like drinking a little here and there. And I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. I think in moderation, like legit, the lifestyle thing in moderation, I think have a little bit, there's a loophole there. If you know what I mean? Like I think a lifestyle is like, this is who I am. Like, right. Like, if someone were talking about me, I'm assuming they'd be like, oh, that's the yoga chick. She's like super healthy. She doesn't drink. She's got 2 dogs, whatever. Like she's super committed to her business. Yeah. Blah. But moderation is like, you can have all those things, but once in a while I'm going to do this or I'm going to splurge or, but not what I was saying earlier. Monday through Thursday, I do this. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's just football, beer, wings. Yeah.
It's like that vicious cycle just doesn't makes sense to me.
No, especially when you get older. It takes me like a whole week to get out of like the post-party depression and
And then with moderation too, you value it more. Like you're like, oh my gosh, that trip, right? Whether you don't travel as much or drink as much. And then when you do, it's like, wow, that was really amazing. Because if you're doing it all the time, it loses a little bit of its value.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Moderation. I remember one time when I was at your yoga studio. I think you were trying to get me to go out or something, and you were like, Freddie, you living like a monk all the time is boring.
Yeah. So that's something I say in yoga, and this is probably going to offend a lot of people, but I just have found I've gone through phases where too much Zen is boring. Yeah. I'm sorry. And that's not everyone's going to agree with that, but I've been in the places in life where just like everything was great. Everything was smooth sailing. No toxic relationships, no drugs, no alcohol, super healthy. And I'm like, bit bored.
Yeah. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, because I feel like that entrepreneur and artists are the same 2 sides of the same coin. Like you need to be kind of in some way constantly towing the line on something.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you like I guess drinking is one of those things. And I tried to think like what's the positive of drinking, because most of it is negative, like if you especially if you do it a lot, but there is a social aspect to drinking that absolutely is like a positive and almost like a necessity to, unless you have a drinking problem, but like just to do every once in a while to be around people. Because
socially and sexually.
Oh yes, yes. I've done
not like hammered, but it does allow you, in my opinion, to just be a little more free and out of your head and in your body.
Yeah. So there is that's way. I've done some weird stuff. Yeah. I think first time I ate ass, I was drunk. First time I got my ass eaten, I was drunk. Yeah. So yeah.
God, big fan of ass eating. Huge. But I typically wouldn't say that unless I've been drinking.
Yeah.
But I don't know why more men don't do it. They're so afraid of it. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's especially if you're 69ing, and 69ing is not the best position for stimulation. It's more of the essence of the position that's good. But that's a good place to start. If the girl's on top, because it's already right there.
Oh, I have a different opinion on that. But
okay, go ahead. So I have a joke in my act about this because this happened to me. I got food poisoning from eating ass one time. Yeah. Because I was like digging my tongue in there, and I had like food poisoning symptoms, And I was like, what the fuck did I eat? That like, I was like shivering, throwing up. It was like crazy. And I was like, oh, it's fucking E. coli poisoning.
You're not telling the truth.
I'm dead ass. This happened when I was like 23 or something like that.
Maybe she just had a dirty ass.
No, she was a clean person. I think I just got in there too far. But the point is, put your life on the line.
But the thing is too, like a lot of women and men, they're not comfortable or confident enough to. Either way, you're doing it. Like, a lot of women, even just in general, they don't even like oral because it's a very intimate thing. Spreading, you know what I mean? Like just exposing yourself like that. Like a lot of my girlfriends are like, I don't even care for that. I'm like, what? Like I wouldn't even be with you if you didn't do that.
You're talking about vaginal oral, right? Like,
just oral that's in general. Like.
What percentage? What if you had to guess? What percentage of women do you think are not into it? This is just your guess.
God, like I don't think any of my friends are into it.
Wow.
And I'm over here like, if you don't do it, like that's a non-negotiable.
Same here. Like when I hear about like husbands are like, oh, my wife doesn't blow me anymore. I'm like, to me that means you don't like me anymore.
Yes.
That means you don't like me anymore.
Like if I don't want to give you a blowjob, we're done. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would understand that. I'll be like, we got to go. You know, we'll move on. And if you're giving blowjobs in the first 2 years as a way to sell it, and then you drop back because you ain't really about that life, that's evil.
Yeah, that works both ways.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. We're changing the world right now.
Yeah, I think that's just it's a way to really show your person you care and you're into them and you're like attracted to them and it feels good.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the ass eating. I mean, that's also a non-negotiable for me. But I can that's coachable.
Yeah. So your dude has to eat ass.
Freddie.
You said it's a non-negotiable. I just wanted to
he does.
To confirm.
Yes, he does.
All right. I like that. Going back to the comfort with as a dude getting your ass eaten, I think for a lot of men it's even uncomfortable to like as a man to spread.
Bro,
is like for a lot of men that's very uncomfortable.
So this is really messed up. But like I've never eaten ass. I will never eat ass, but I expect my ass to be eaten. So I don't know how twisted that is, but
I don't think it is. I think you know what you want and what you don't want. Yeah, you're good.
But I just thought when you just said it as a man, that's got to be even more like,
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah, you have to like put your legs up. There's like you look like a baby being like a diaper being changed.
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah, it's
be uncomfortable for you.
It's a frightening, especially if you're a hairy dude. Like it's just, yeah.
Yeah, and you get dingleberries or something.
Oh my God. I mean, if you have dingleberries in that situation, you didn't prepare properly. You gotta.
And that's the thing too with ass eating. Like, be fresh out of the shower. Like
100%.
Respect your person. Like, be super clean.
Yeah, it's okay to say, "Give me a second. I gotta hop in the shower."
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like that's a turn on. It gives the person maybe they'll play with themselves.
Especially a summer night, I'll be like, "Be right back."
Yeah.
Give me 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like dudes with ball smell. Ball smell just you get like 45 minutes of like clean, and then all of a sudden, yeah,
it's like sweat and pee smelling. It's not good.
It ain't
please
pee.
Wash
There's
your
no
balls.
pee. There's no pee on balls, Cristina.
When I have given oral before, it'll smell like.
Is it the bleach smell or is it the pee? Is it pee?
I don't know, but just you did that one talk on how to wash your balls and your dick. You did that.
It's washing's cool, right? It's the drying where I think men are falling off.
Okay,
because it stays wet because the ball sack's wrinkly, so it holds moisture, and I think that's when. Because I went through a phase where I was like, I just showered. How do I this is crazy. And my sister's boyfriend was like, bro, you got to dry better. You got to like pull it apart and like dry. He even puts a blow dryer.
I blow dry mine.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
all right.
Like blow dry my hair and then I just take it down a couple levels.
Yeah. Once I did that, game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was ready for impromptu blowjobs all day. It was.
But I think more people need to know that. Like they need to know how to wash. They need to know how to dry.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
drying's important.
Sits there wet. Especially
if you're a hairy dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What else you want to cover?
Oh my God, I don't know. I can't believe it went to ass eating. My friends are gonna be like, "Of course it went to ass eating." God, I typically wait till like date 5 for that.
For that to bring it up, yeah.
And nobody does it on the first night. If you do, that would be weird, right? Like,
yeah, that's something you want to keep. You want to keep some tricks. You want to keep some surprises.
That's something you grow into. But like, if I'm with a guy on the first night and he just like gets right into some ass eating, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Even though I love it, but it's like you grow into that.
Yeah. Date 5 is
typically not first podcast. That's okay. I'm into it.
Yeah, if this was our first conversation, that'd be weird. But this is not.
Have we talked about ass eating?
I think we have before.
Okay.
Yeah, we've given our thoughts
Okay.
on that activity. Anything else you want to cover? I feel like we covered some good stuff. Thank you for sharing the your engagement stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like any other like relationship philosophies you got. I always enjoy talking to you about this stuff. So thank you.
I do think as you get older, it's really important if you are single to still maintain like this awe and openness to love and relationship, because you do get comfortable alone. But I think life is meant to share with someone. Maybe it's not the same person forever, but I just think there's a joy that can bring you. So it's something I'm working on. It's just not being closed-minded, like fuck relationships. You know, I don't know if I have any maybe like one married couple friend that loves being married. One. That's not a lot. So it's work to be open-minded to the idea that I still want my person. Like I still want the romantic love, even though I'm not even sure if it exists, but constantly allowing being focused and being intentional with that mindset. So I attract that, the law of attraction.
Yeah.
If I'm like, fuck love, fuck relationships, then that's what my life is going to look like.
I like that. I like how as you're aging, you become more like, because it's easy to fall into the bitterness as we get older.
Yes.
And like, and justifiably so. A lot of people suck. The world is in shambles. So it's really cool to meet someone and talk to someone that's like, I'm not going to let that get me.
It's actually interesting you bring that up, because the last person I dated after this relationship that I did meet on Bumble, he was divorced and he was going through a lot of stuff, and he just had this negative viewpoint on love and relationship. And I pulled myself out of it, because I'm like, why would I date someone that's kind of just like bitter? Like that's not fun. I don't want to hear you bitch about this shit all the time. Like grow through that, right?
Yeah.
Like people, I don't want to. He was like vomiting all of his negative opinions on that. I'm like, why are you on Bumble? Why are you trying 100%. To date if you feel this way? Like you're not ready. You're not ready.
Was he self-aware about it at any moment? Was he like, I'm sorry, I'm going through a thing right now? And
I mean, he was 7 years out of his divorce.
Like,
let it go, bro. Yes. Like let it go. He got cheated on. But that's what I'm saying. Most people will hold that, and I could do the same thing, right? Like I got cheated on. I could be like, every guy is going to cheat on me moving forward. No, like I'm not going to allow myself to have that mindset. Like when people compare you to your exes, please stop doing that. Like that's not fair to the new person.
It's so counterintuitive, because this person that you hate, you're still letting them have control over your life 7 years later.
Yes.
It's a time release fuck you up right there. That's crazy.
And that is a red flag. So like if you're older and you're single, I do think it's a mindset that you have to be aware of and constantly work on, because even talking to your married friends and people that are in relationships, they're not always that happy. They might show you the good stuff on Instagram, but behind all those stories and posts, there's problems. Most
marriages are like, they don't look fun. And it was hard for me when people are like, why don't you want to get married? It used to be that was an insecure moment for me, because I felt like I had to prove our love with people who were married. And then I had people who, like, Rachel and I would be together, like, this is like 7-8 years. And they knew each other for 2 years, but they're married. And they're like, you guys will understand when I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I have some married friends that talk to me like that. My husband, like, you'll understand when you're married someday. And I'm like, who's to say? Like, I mean, just that whole language. It's just like, ugh.
I've heard people say this dumb shit where they're like, I want to hang out with other married people.
Why? Why do you think you're so much better if you're married? But that's a conditioned thought, right? Like, it's like, oh, if you don't get married by the time you're 25, like you're not a likable human being. It's like, oh, you have issues. It's like, no, I'm actually just smart.
Yeah. and I get couples being like, I don't want to hang out with single people, because that's a different vibe. Right. But like, to be like, you got to be married. You can't be like you can't
just be dating.
Yeah, good relationship.
You met on Bumble.
Yeah, a fun couple with good ideals. Let's do that. Yeah. Like they're like, you have to be married. It's fucking weird.
Well, I think a lot of that maybe stems from some cultural stuff. The whole marriage in general. Like what does that mean to a lot of people?
Yeah,
and that's a secure.
Yeah.
So if you go back to like. Secure relationships, and then what keeps desire and passion. So when you're married, there's a lot more security, And you might need that to hang out with your other friends because you're like, oh, is this person going to be attracted to someone else? Is this person going to cheat? Whatever your thoughts are.
That's one of my reasons for not getting married is because I don't want her to stick around just because she's got to go through a bunch of paperwork. And it's because I feel like that's one layer of like, you know, you stay in something unhappy. It's because the process of divorce I hear is crazy. And I just feel like if it's easy for her to leave, then I know if she's still here, she wants to be here. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a piece of relationship and marriage where you are going to have to compromise some stuff and it is going to be work. But if it gets to the point where you're literally miserable every single day and you've tried, like, to have to stay in it because you're married, because I also think there's a cop out there, right? Like, to just leave when things get hard. I mean, that kind of happened in my third engagement. Like, I don't think we worked through things like we could have. And I think it was on both parties. But, you know, maybe if after reflecting, I would be like, okay, well, maybe we could have worked through some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, we had misaligned values, right? So like, it wouldn't have worked out. But I'm just saying, I think there was a little bit of a cop out there because of the lack of experience. And not, like we said in the beginning, not having these uncomfortable conversations. He did not want to have uncomfortable conversations. He was a shutter downer. So yeah.
No, yeah. You got to be ready. Like, are we cool right now?
Yeah,
I'm feeling some weird shit in the
house.
house.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I was talking about that with someone yesterday. You have to talk through that shit. Like, what's up? Are you hungry or something? Like, did something happen today? And you're being a dick.
I make sure my girl's water bottle is always full. I make sure my girl's hydrated. That minimizes like 33% of problems.
Yeah, a little snack and some water. Yeah, I mean, usually it's hangry, lack of sleep, or hormonal. I mean, those are the three big ones.
We're just big babies. Yeah. We're not as special as we think we are, but we're also special. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
What do you think about the most?
Oh shit. What do I think about the most? Oh my gosh. I think about so much. I think about my wheels are always spinning. But typically I probably think about my business the most. Yeah. My dogs. And just, you know, being a healthy human being. But I mean, we didn't really talk about business in this one, but I am doing things that are very different than what most people are doing. I'm trying to really influence the industry in a positive way and on, you know, healthy movement mechanics that's not really talked about in the yoga industry. And I spend a lot of time doing that and thinking about it because it really breaks my heart that the traditional vinyasa is arguably harming people, not helping them.
Oh, how so? So before we get into that, real quick, 110 Yoga, Raleigh, North Carolina, and in Durham, you have 2 locations. Nice.
So there's this whole misconception that having lots of range of motion is ideal, and so we're all like, if you're in pain, you've been told stretch, 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 right? Like that's the first thing someone will say, like, oh, I'm tight, I need to stretch. Well, unfortunately, most people are either hypermobile or unstable, so they're stretching a misaligned system, and then it might feel good temporarily, but they keep feeling tight, right? They're like, man, I've been stretching for 20 years. Why do I still feel tight? Well, it's because they're actually, and they don't want to hear this, but they're unstable and they're weak and they're misaligned. So when you go to yoga, if you think about how many times you're in a forward fold, bro, your hamstrings are not tight. You've been in a forward fold, wide-legged forward fold, pyramid, standing split. I mean, if you have a yoga teacher and she has no ass, she did that to herself, right? Like she has lengthened her, but she'll still look at you dead in the face and be like, my hamstrings are tight. No, they're weak. If you strengthen them, they would stop feeling tight. So there's this whole conception that the fullest expression is what you need to do in yoga, but that's not actually, if you want to practice that lasts for the rest of your life, that's not what you want to be doing. You need to balance that with strength, but they don't.
And how does your studio from the strength, like how do you guys balance it with strength? Like what's different in the poses or the? So
everything for us stems from, this might not make sense to a lot of people, but stems from neutral pelvis. So we try not to let our back go in too much extension because yoga's a lot of extension. Yeah. So if you can keep neutral pelvis, you can basically do all the things. But like I said, most people cannot, which is the unstable. So not neutral is unstable. So people keep feeding into that pattern. So we try not to create sequences or do poses or offer things that feed into the dysfunction.
Nice.
And then in our teacher training, Smart Athlete PT leads all of our anatomy. So when people hear this from an actual physical therapist versus just another yoga teacher, because yoga was created thousands of years ago, right? Like they did not know now what they didn't know what they knew then now.
Yes.
Is that the saying? Whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like just relearning, and people are like, oh my God, she's not even teaching yoga. It's like, no, I'm still teaching yoga. I'm just teaching mechanics, right? Like I'm not just going to say, because this guy told me to do it, am I going to do it this way? No, I want to learn from someone who actually understands biomechanics of the body, because you are designed. My slogan is the way you move matters. The way you move does matter. Shit. And you see these people in yoga just slinging their bodies around, blindlessly listening to the teacher, like, oh, let me just yank on this. Let me pull my ankle behind my head. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's not what yoga should be.
I like that. I like the passion. I like how
that was a lot.
No, that was literally perfect. You talked about being passionate. The second you talk about the thing you're thinking about the most, you went in hard. Where can people find you, Christine? Oh wait, before, did we get everything out? I want to make sure.
Well, one last thing about this yoga concept is, if you feel tight, like, just please stop stretching for like a month and start stabilizing. If you're not even sure what that word means, just call me, like email me, whatever. Go see anyone at Smart Athlete PT. Because once you stabilize, the feeling of tightness goes away. Like, you're not gonna be like, oh God, I need to twist and turn and stretch my hip flexors, because you've been doing that now for a couple years and you're not seeing any results. So just when your body is tight or it is in pain, that is your body telling you something is wrong. So don't neglect that.
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it.
And from my experience, whenever I was at your studio, my body felt better. If I can give the most general, and I'm gonna start yoga again soon, so I'll be hitting you up. But you do know what you're talking about. I used to love when you used to do do you still do like dry needling on Sundays and stuff, or
the class roll and recovery? No, I don't do that anymore. I tried to, as I've smartened up with business, I try to do one thing and do it well, right? Instead of having like a bunch of different class variety offers, have the hot flows, the core flows, but just be really good at them. Instead of, a studio that has like 10 different class types and you're like, what the hell? All these class types, I got to look through it and figure it out.
Yeah.
No, just be really good at what you do.
So yours is flow and core.
Yep.
Hot
flow and core flow.
Nice. All right, cool. Are we done? You got I want to make sure you got everything out.
Anything.
Yeah.
What else did we bring up at the gym the other day?
I think we covered it. We could let's save that for a second episode.
Okay.
Because we're at 50 minutes. Okay. I don't like to keep it more than an hour just because of attention
spans. Too bad we didn't
and
start with the ass eating to get them to like
right.
50 minutes.
Yeah, the people who stuck around about 35 minutes in, they're like, "Oh, this is nice."
Yeah. I feel like I started off pretty weak because I was a little nervous, but
no, you started off great.
Okay.
And I started off talking about jeans. I might even cut that part out, even though I was when I saw you, I was like, "Oh shit, this is like a real thing for her." Like. And look, we ended with jeans.
And you asked me the day before, so I was like, I didn't get to do my hair. Like, I didn't get to get cute. So,
was that okay to hit you up last minute for things?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I was just like, I wish I would have gotten like a manicure.
I feel like, because I was thinking about it, I was like, I could just have her on soon. I was like, I don't think she'll mind just day of.
I love that spontaneity, that impulsiveness. So I always tell people, like, I'm very structured. Like, I have a very consistent way of living, but I like to flow within that. So like, I know my Wednesdays are typically my days to myself, so it worked.
Nice.
But like Monday, Tuesday, whatever, like those days are like, that's where I get all my shit done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So. And where can people find you, Cristina Max?
On Blunt Street. 110 Yoga on Blunt Street, and there's also one in Durham by South Point. And then my Instagram's at Cristina Max. No H. There's no H in Cristina.
No, no H after the C, not the C. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cristina.
I was thinking about Cristina with an H at the end, but that doesn't exist. I'm sorry. You're thinking about
Yeah. No, that's where you can find me if you really want to get into movement and learn quality movement patterns. Hit me up.
Yeah, I agree. Hit up Cristina for movement.
I always tell people too at 110 and teacher training our community, like I call it future yoga. Because people are smartening up, whether it's with food and movement in general, because what's traditionally been done is harming bodies. And, you probably won't find a local yoga studio owner who has not had back or hip surgery at some point because of how they've been practicing. So I always tell, I had hip surgery at 28 and that's another reason I'm passionate about it. I couldn't walk for a full year. literally didn't walk.
Damn.
So I take this stuff very seriously, but it's the future of yoga. Just the pendulum has to swing from hypermobile, hyper flexible, fullest expressions that's not even accessible for most people to stability. It has to. So I'm like, I'm just like 30 years ahead of the game.
There you go. Christina's from the future, guys. Stabilize your body, stabilize your mind.
Yes.
And stabilize your soul, bitches.
Yes.
Guys, share this episode. I love you. Follow me on Instagram at Freddie Valoy. Follow my stuff. And then go out there and do something that makes you scared a little bit, but then at the end makes you happy.
Yeah, have some passion.
Yeah, eat ass.
Eat ass.
Bye.